by itself.
The ultimate limit of that is the arms necessary to prevent. Basically, you can own any arm that is necessary to necessary.
They're fucking killing Arnivore kids, so you're telling me it isn't real when they had a fucking vote in the goddamn fucking Senate?
You're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
Welcome, everyone, to the Ready to Rumble podcast, where today, dear viewers, you're getting a special treat. Today, we're uncovering Korak the Bard's detective files during his time as an undercover right-wing shithead, and an exclusive interview he snagged with a Rumble regular and member of the Stu Peters Network, Teddy Daniels. Let's find out together just how deep the rot goes when you're invited as an honored guest to the right-wing inner circle. He puts himself to the hazard to get into the demented minds of MAGA to share with you the eldritch horrors of the fever dream swamp of Trump worshippers. He's your favorite bard, and he's also me, Korak the Bard, undercover right-wing shithead. And I'm joined by my steadfast co-host, Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
Thank you, Bard. Thank you. I am Dr. Scorpion the Bird. I am a real doctor. I am not a real bird. And I am here for the nerd shit.
As am I. Before we get into all that, why don't you... All right, Doc, what's your good thing for today?
My something good for today is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Oh.
It's fantastic. Look, I'll be honest, I'm not a rose-tinted glasses kind of guy. The game does make mistakes. You can trust Ubisoft to learn the wrong lessons from previous games.
Oh, sure.
But it's a vast improvement over Mirage. The mechanics are far better than Mirage. It's mechanically, it's far more like my favorite entry into the franchise, which is Odyssey. I think Odyssey is great. But look, you get to charge around feudal Japan, decapitating people with your katana, and if that is not enough of appeal for it to play a game, I can't help you.
Sounds like Sekiro with training wheels.
Yeah, it 100% is. I hated Sekiro for that reason. Look, I'm an old man. I'm a dad gamer, and if you can't give me easy mode, if you can't hold my hand through a tutorial, it's too much for me. I'm not in my 20s anymore. Thank you for making a great game, but it's not for me. I'm a proud easy mode player, and I will fly that flag till my dying day.
I completely understand. No judgments here. How you enjoy your video games is how you enjoy them. And I have played through the entire Dark Souls series, including Elden Ring, thinking there's no way I could get this far if I had kids.
Oh, yeah. It's far, far more of a time investment than I'm prepared to make. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows, not perfect, things to improve on, but it's great fun, and that's what matters.
Oh, good.
How about you, Bard? What's your something good for this week?
My something good, as usual, is a little bit bittersweet and centered on Costa Rica. As some of you know, I had a cat named Elby that I adopted. Well, I was adopted by when I moved here. And sadly, I had to give him away because he was just tearing the hell out of the furniture. But the good thing about that is literally within minutes, once I sent the word out to people I knew here locally, I had somebody at my door willing to claim him, saying, I will take care of him. He'll have a good family and a good home. And what arrived at my door was a minivan, a truck, sans bed, so basically a cab on wheels, and a motorcycle. And these people came to my house, checked out LB. They all came as a family to be like, hey, do we want this cat? And of course they did. They loved him, and they all loaded his stuff up into their various vehicles and drove off. Within minutes of me saying, hey, I have a cat, I don't want to give him away. In America, you'd be looking at maybe a non-kill shelter. Those are few and far between. But no, I literally just sent up a signal flare saying, hey, who wants a cat? And within minutes, I found a safe and comfortable home for LB. So that was the community coming together and just being a great thing. So LB has a safe home.
Oh, that sounds about as good an outcome as you can have. It's a damn shame about the cat, but that's just the way it works sometimes, right? You can't have an animal in the place, but by the sounds of things, Albie has a happy, loving, enthusiastic home, and so like I said, it's as good as you can expect from the situation, right?
Yeah, he's gone to a place where they don't care if he tears up the furniture a little bit, which is not the case here. So, yeah, he's gone to a better place.
Fantastic. That's excellent.
Awesome possum. All right, well, let's kick this off. What are we doing today, Doc?
Well, today we're doing something a little different. We are playing through an interview between you and Rumble mainstay Teddy Daniels. Now, Teddy Daniels will definitely get his own show at some point in the near future. If anybody is looking for a visual, go with the words large, bald sheriff. On the basis of those three words, you are 100% imagining Teddy Daniels.
Yeah. Whatever you're picturing right now is accurate.
Yeah, you cannot be wrong. But for today, we are going to listen to you, Korak the Bard, in your undercover persona interviewing Teddy Daniels about the meaning of the word woke. Now, before we start, I want to be upfront with our listening audience. I have not heard this audio, so I don't know what we're in for. Before we start, I would like you, Korak, to give me your definition of the word woke. What do you think of when people say the word woke?
Oh, that's great. Well, what I think the definition is and what I think people think are two very different things. But as far as my definition, it is somebody who stands for equal rights, for civil rights, for human rights, somebody who wants just a level playing field. That's what I equate that with. And it was kind of corrupted and adopted by the right to be an insult over the years. And now everything that they don't like is woke. The Super Bowl is woke. Taylor Swift is woke. Anything they don't like is woke. And they ran on defeating woke without being able to define it. So just to give the viewers a little bit of background, I was an undercover right-wing shithead for a while just to see how easy it was to waltz into their circle and start a dialogue with them to provide content. And Teddy Daniels at the time was running for lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. And through just a poorly worded and grammatically impossible to decipher letter, I got through to his office and he agreed to interview me and allow me to interview him. And I was under the guise of a former Hollywood insider who had something to spill to the community. And him and others welcomed me with open arms, without question. I was going to take down the Hollywood pedophilia ring from inside. So they were more than happy to entertain me on their shows and have me interview them on what they think woke is. So this may become a series where we define what woke is according to right-wing shitheads. And there are a few of them that I've interviewed, and wouldn't you know it, they don't have a matching definition for the word woke amongst them.
Yeah, it's definitely become that, hasn't it? It's definitely become a catch-all term for literally anything I don't like.
Sure.
I know we've made mention of it before, the Chaya Raichik interview on TV, where she's just written a book about why woke is so bad. The first question that she gets asked by the interviewer is, well, what is woke? And then you get the most uncomfortable 15 seconds of silence you've ever heard on live TV as she stumbles around for an answer. We have mentioned that interview before, I'm sure of it. So this is why I'm interested in hearing what the definition of woke is from one right-wing shitbag to another presumed right-wing shitbag.
And that's the key here, because you have said in the past, I think that it's hard for them to define because they can't just come out and say, well, I don't like black people, which is kind of what it boils down to.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, when you're in accepted company and that facade is gone, it's still not necessarily about just black people, because they cannot define what it is. It's not necessarily in relation to minorities, even amongst accepted company. they just don't have any kind of definition that fits other than these are the things I don't like.
Yeah. Well, we've got a 23-minute clip in front of us, and I'm interested to see how long it rolls before we get to the phrase international Jew. So how about we dive in?
Well, this is a walk down memory lane for me, and I've got a full bottle of Chardonnay, so let's do it.
So let's have a listen to Korak the Bard in his persona as an undercover racist, introducing Teddy Daniels.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined here now by a man who talks the talk and walks the walk, a patriot who has served his country as a law enforcement officer and a soldier in our conflict with Afghanistan. He returned to his country a highly decorated combat veteran who, among other distinctions, bears the Purple Heart and hosts a YouTube channel where he tells it like it is in his world. Mr. Daniels, it's a pleasure and a privilege to have you with us here today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service to our country.
Sir, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here as well.
Likewise.
Now, I know we've said before how low the bar is for entry into the world of right-wing shitbags, to the point that it may as well not exist, but my God, when you come in with some actual skill with words, the ability to put a coherent sentence together, you sound you sound out of place in your... I mean, look, the thing is, I don't want to be giving you the same lather that you're giving to Teddy Daniels here, right?
Right.
But you're a guy who can put a coherent sentence together.
Right.
And against the backdrop of the average quality of what we see coming out of the right wing, that puts you in an entirely different class of person.
See, what's amazing is we're only 10 seconds in, and already you've nailed it. None of these guys know how to craft a fucking sentence. So the minute you come in with some level of competency, they're like, oh, he's a poet, and I can't wait to suck his dick. There are just no barriers to entry. And that's the thing. Like, this is a testament to how much money I could be making as a right-wing shithead if I decided to have no morals.
Yeah. Just the merest amount of skill with a microphone, of presence on a microphone, and ability to... I'm trying to think of ways of not repeating myself here, but just put words together in a coherent sentence. I mean...
Well, that's the thing. I listen to Benny Shapiro all the time, and I'm half drunk, so I can talk circles around him, and when that's where the bar is, if you come in with a smooth motherfucking voice, holy shit, there is no competition.
Oh, God. All right. We need to keep playing this, otherwise we're going to be here all fucking night. So let's roll.
So let's get right into it. What, in your view, does woke mean?
I think woke is the combination of all of the radical leftist agendas that the left has been pushing on us to try and transform American society, American education, American politics, American culture. And it's just like a word that I would put on all the craziness that's going on out there, like pronouns and the whole month of celebration for gay pride and things of that nature.
Right. And so what's the end game there? Why do that?
Because they're trying to fundamentally transform America. The only reason you would want to transform something is if you don't like it.
Right.
So I think it's proven that the left does not like America, so they want to transform it into this utopia which will never exist in this country.
So, Korak, what was going through your mind during that section? Because I've got a few comments to make.
I'm going to start with you, actually, because I was following my script, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But no, this interview was run on rails. I prepped for this, and literally every word out of my mouth was planned, and I kind of knew what the words out of his mouth were going to be. So this is me just following the already predetermined right-wing script. So I wanted to start with you and ask you, what did you think of Teddy's definition of woke?
I'm astounded by how well you and I predicted what he would say without trying to predict what he would say. Everything Teddy Daniels doesn't like is woke. It's the catch-all code word that is used, and again, this is why Chaya Raichik struggled so much.
Yep.
When you're in front of a sympathetic audience, you say your catch-all word and your audience doesn't need further explanation. They know exactly what it is. And it doesn't matter that the definition is slightly different inside every different brain. What matters is that word conjures up hate, it conjures up dislike, and that's what unites them. So I'm kind of astounded that when we're sort of joking around and saying, oh, everything I don't like is woke, he literally comes out and says, everything I don't like is woke.
And now you realize with dawning horror that there are thousands more like him.
Oh, Lord.
With the same ignorant expression and bumper sticker slogans.
And the other thing out of that little section too, I did not know that you could say the word utopia with such venom. As if utopia was such a bad thing.
Oh, you want a utopia? Well, actually, kind of. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
You know, it's like Lionel Hutz's World Without Lawyers, you know?
Yeah, please. Take
yeah.
it.
Like, don't fucking
Stop
threaten
selling
me with a
me.
good
I'm
time.
already sold.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop drilling. You've hit oil. It's good, man.
Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time. Shit.
Right? And this is, again, we've barely touched the tip of the iceberg. So if you're ready to descend further.
Oh, yeah. I've never ever stopped at just the tip. So it's also very, very clear that inside Teddy Daniels' head, his definition of America or the US is very white, very male, and very Christian.
Oh, yes.
He hasn't even brought up the word Christian yet, but you know that that's the background that he's working from. So.
Oh, we're getting to that. He's a praying man, so just stay tuned.
Oh, fabulous. Again, how easy is it to predict these people? I didn't even need to try.
Again,
all right,
yes, that's why when I wrote the script, I wrote his parts too.
All right, let's keep rolling.
So would you count that as a threat culturally to the U.S.?
Well, it's a threat culturally. It's a threat economically. It's a threat politically. It's a threat in all the different sects of society that put together make this country run the way that it does.
And again, it's very clear that when he's saying the word threat, what he means is threat to the ascendancy of straight white men.
Right. And keep in mind that word threat, because we do go into that a little bit later.
Right.
Like how does the threat manifest? How does it affect you?
Right. Man, so much, and we haven't even hit the 3-minute mark yet. Let's keep going.
The campaign is over, but you have been endorsed by General Michael Flynn, among other right-wing luminaries. What do you do now with those endorsements and the momentum you gained as a result of your campaign for Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania?
Quick question. How hard was it to say the word luminaries instead of the word lunatics?
That's a fair question. But again, this was all scripted, so it had been rehearsed several times beforehand, and I was able to do this without laughing the entire time, and I would like to thank the Academy for their vote.
I cannot guarantee in my head that the intrusive thoughts would not have won.
Well, what I noticed later, after interviewing about a half a dozen of these folks, was my breathing patterns changed because I was lying through my teeth the whole time, and it became a tell for me. And I was like, okay, I need to work on this because I cannot be a right-wing shithead and maintain this facade.
Right.
Well, what we're doing is I've actually gained a national following over the last couple of years, and we are on the Stu Peters Network.
Hey, Stu Peters!
We run an hour a night on Stu Peters. It can also, we upload everything to Spotify, to Rumble. Some of the stuff we can upload onto YouTube. But I think now with the audience that we have, and now I don't have to be as politically correct as sometimes you may have to be as a candidate.
So we're 3 minutes into this interview, and it's taken us, 10, 15 minutes to get that far. How much of this interview do you reckon we're going to get into this episode? Because I can't see us getting past the 10-minute mark.
I think we might get to 10 minutes, but that is a maybe, especially because literally every line deserves a little essay on its own, and you are one to love to pick apart stuff like this. So we are picking apart every single feather on the chicken.
Oh, man. All right, 10 minutes. You take the under, I'll take the over. Let's roll this baby and see what else we can find.
Fair enough.
And as a candidate, people thought, wow, Teddy goes hard. Teddy tells it how it is.
Right. If that's the candidate version, what's the real guy like?
A little more ball gargling. Well done.
The real version is I cut loose.
Oh, because he was holding back so much before.
I cut loose. And I have the real conversations that need to be had.
But because this is one of those things, like, you look at the cesspit that Twitter has become today, right?
Right.
And you look at the stuff that people are saying just in public in general. There are so few filters left in terms of public discourse.
Yeah.
And yet every single one of these dickbags always rails about how they're being restricted on YouTube and they can't say what they really mean. And free speech is under threat. Free speech, motherfucker, you never shut up.
Yeah. No, it's always the same. I'm a victim and I'm being silenced, but I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Every single one of these motherfuckers says the same goddamn thing.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about how I've been silenced in my best-selling book and on Fox News and on my syndicated radio show, how I'm being silenced.
Exactly.
And I know we've had that rant before. I've had that rant before, but holy fucking shit.
And to bring this into completely modern day, this is Nancy Mace saying, I won't be silenced. When the guy asked you at the Target if you were going to have a town hall meeting.
Oh.
He was asking you to speak.
God damn. That's astounding. That is genuinely astounding that anybody can watch that video and think that the guy was doing anything other than seeing his rep and saying, hey, you having a public meeting soon?
Right.
To which her response was to fly off the fucking handle. Like, that's just astounding.
I dress like that guy, so I could have been in that same position, and she'd been like, I voted for gay rights. And I'd be like, I didn't mention gay rights. I'm not even gay. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't for a second believe you look as good in a pair of little denim shorts as that dude does.
That I will say, who wore it better? He definitely did.
Oh God, but yeah, the free speech thing, man, it's just the good old Shrek thing, you know, like, wow, a talking donkey, yeah, it's getting him to shut up, that's the trick.
I reserve the right to remain silent. Yeah, but you don't have the capacity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's listen to more of this fucking donkey.
What are we, 4 minutes in now?
Yeah, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
With truth in this country. So, you know, the LGBTQ or the alphabet soup culture.
Right.
I just completed an episode not too long ago that talks about the real race issues that are going on
Real race
in America,
issues.
and how white America is being demonized by our own administration.
Who the fuck has it worse than white men in the USA?
When will the Latinos and the LGBTQs get the boot off the neck of the poor, oppressed, white, cis man?
Sorry, I realize I asked that backwards. Who the fuck in the US has it better than cishet white men?
No, they're at the bottom of the totem pole to hear Teddy tell it.
God damn it. This is a live example of the meme about if you come from a position of privilege, equity looks like oppression.
Right. And this is why I love this. We're doing a live reaction on your part where you've never heard this before. You haven't heard a word of this. And my whole position, and that's what I do on my YouTube channel, is just look at this fucking asshole, right? And like the whole audience is going to be like, holy shit, he said that? Yeah, he really said that.
Yeah. And I think this is the point of doing this project, of doing this podcast, is to realize how uncensored and how candid they are with each other about their views on race and the LGBT community and so on,
Yeah.
to realize that what we see from the outside, as foul and disgusting as it is, it's still the iceberg thing. We're still only seeing the top 10%. So hearing you dive below for the other 90, like, yeah, this is... But the other thing I wanted to say at this point too, it's really, really becoming obvious how you could script this entire interview from both sides without trying. We've heard nothing in the first 4.5 minutes that we haven't heard a million times before from a million right-wing shitbags.
Yeah.
So I can absolutely see how Korak the Bard in his persona as Mike the right-wing douche can sit down and write both sides of this interview. That's quite amazing.
I kind of feel like the guy who discovered the Mariana Trench, who was like, oh my God, it just keeps going.
Oh, shit. And speaking of which, we should too. Let's roll for a little bit more.
Yes, let's.
Apparently to try to either silence us or start some sort of race war in this country. And these aren't the things that America wants, but the left has the megaphone.
Motherfucker.
You got 4 seconds. We got 4 seconds out of that before you're like, I just can't take it anymore.
And you can't see me waving my fists around. God damn it. But you hear shit like this all the time, as if Fox fucking News doesn't exist. As if Newsmax doesn't exist. As if OAN doesn't exist.
Welcome to my world.
The left has the mega... Oh, Jesus.
You know, man, I know you swim in the rumble waters and bring us the reports, but I actually swam with the dolphins.
Holy fuck. How deliberately do you have to avoid self-awareness as a concept in order to say words like that and believe them?
Right, and that's been my thing for years. I can only put Republicans into one of two categories. Either they're cynical enough to know that enough people will believe their bullshit to get them paid, or they really are drinking the Kool-Aid, and those are the only two options.
Amazing. God. Okay, let's hear some more from Teddy.
Right.
And they go out there and they yell at everybody who disagrees with them and call them a racist and a white nationalist and a white supremacist. But yet, if Joe Blow citizen tries to push back and say, well, that's not true, then you get labeled as a racist, a white nationalist, a white supremacist, or whatever the left and the media decide they want to call you that day.
Exactly.
Exactly. Give me more, Daddy.
So these are the uncomfortable conversations that we need to have. And if you have them, you have to expect to get hit by the left. And I think once people lose that fear.
You know how afraid conservatives are.
I was just about to say two things.
They're so scared to be able to voice their opinions.
I know. And that's the thing is, you know, so much of right-wing grievance politics is based around the dislike of white people of feeling the slightest bit of discomfort. And this idea of people being afraid because somebody may turn around and say, yeah, that's not the type of language that we like hearing anymore. You know, that's oppression.
Exactly.
And, you know, we are, I'm sure, let me just check the timestamp here. We're 5 minutes and 21 seconds into this interview, so you're clearly going to win the wager. That's fine. I owe you a Coke. But I'm also surprised that we've managed to get 5 minutes into this interview and he hasn't said the words cancel or culture in proximity to each other yet.
Oh, we got plenty of time left for that.
Oh, did I spoiler something for later in the interview?
There are no spoilers. There is no free will. I wrote this from beginning to end.
I've listened.
And you didn't catch it when a minute ago I said exactly, and I gave you the same radio voice I gave Teddy.
Oh no, I caught that exactly. It was yeah, it was a very porny, yes, deeper daddy tone. It was great.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll a bit more.
Because you already know they're going to call you a racist.
Of course, you've already
You know
lost
they're
the
going to
game.
call you a homophobe.
Yeah.
So expect that to happen. Lose that fear of that and go out there and say what you need to say.
Okay, so what we're about to get into, and he makes a big deal about this, that he was in Afghanistan, he was a soldier, and he shows footage, like body cam footage of him in a firefight. So it's not like he hasn't seen action. But I decide to ask him about this, and I've heard vets tell me about the action that they were in, and it doesn't sound like this. And not to denigrate his service to the country or his deciding to go to Afghanistan in the middle of the war,
Right.
But I'm very curious what you're going to say with his description of what happened.
Well, I should say from the outset, I'm not a military guy. I'm not a militaristic person. My family doesn't have any kind of military service history. But, particularly the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, it's very, very clear from reports of soldiers coming back that these wars are very much wars of American takeover of those countries' resources. You hear reports and you hear stories of Marines coming back who were literally stationed to guard oil fields so that American companies could come in and take the oil, not buy the oil, not protect it for the Afghan people or the Iraqi people, but protect it so that an American company could simply come in and take it. So
Right.
against that background, it probably should go without saying that I'm not impressed by military service per se. Having said that, sure, service to your country, etc. Why not? But let's hear what he's got to say.
Before you do, since our roles are kind of reversed and we're not playing the 2 lies and a truth game, this is my chance to be like, okay, whatever I want you to get your mind into what you picture a veteran would tell you if you're asking him about what happens in the middle of a firefight, like what's going through your head, how did it all happen? Like, I want you to cast your mind to that subject.
Okay, I'm going to make 3 predictions.
Oh boy.
1, he doesn't care about himself. He only cares about the people in his unit.
Okay.
2, he's thinking of the people back home. And 3, he's doing it for his country.
Those are all fair assumptions.
Okay. Because I'm not a bard, so I can't pre-script things in the mind of somebody else. I'm not that good with words. But I do pay attention, and those are the 3 things that I think, those are the 3 themes that I think we're going to hit when he talks about his military service.
All right, let's find out. Switching topics just a little bit, would you like to talk about your experience in Afghanistan and how that shaped your views today?
Oh, absolutely. April 25th, 2012. I thought I was going to die on the side of a mountain. I had a conversation with God.
Oh.
Damn it, that was low-hanging fruit and I flubbed it.
Yeah, let's pause it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, family, country, the flag, my men, all very good guesses, but no, he talked to God.
Man, this is what happens when you grow up atheist, is you forget that people think of God first. Damn.
It's a big part of the equation, man.
Oh, this is what happens when you haven't had an imaginary friend since the age of 7. Shit.
But yeah, he's taking shots. Again, pay attention to, I asked him what happened. Like, I expected him to describe the action, and what he told me was he talked to God.
Yeah. I guess that would have been an easy swing as well, to say you're not going to get too much in the way of detail. He's going to describe it in broad strokes. Because I think even, and again, I'm not trying to denigrate a man's service, but I'm pretty sure that the majority of his time there wasn't spent in firefights. And I'm pretty sure that even those firefights are sort of significantly less Hollywood than those of us who've never seen military action before would be led to believe.
Right. It wasn't the middle scene of Heat where Val Kilmer's unloading clips and shooting from undercover of a car, and the shots are very dramatic and Michael Bay-ish.
Yeah.
But what he does put on his website from his body cam, he was definitely in a firefight. But he's on a position on a mountain, and it's hard to see what he's shooting at or what's shooting at him. It's just, there's no Fallout 4, HUD that's telling you what any of this shit is happening. There's just dust and that's really all you see.
That's interesting to hear you say that, because that was what was going through my head is I bet this body cam footage shows him hiding behind a rock while gunshots are audible in the background.
You're very close, but he was on an exposed position on the side of a mountain from what I could tell.
Right.
So, there wasn't a lot of cover from, just based on his body cam video.
Right. And again, I don't want to denigrate his service. I don't want to denigrate anyone else's military service. But at the same time, call me crazy, and I know that this is strange in the year of our Lord 2025, but I do value accuracy. I do think there should be truth value in that type of storytelling, that if you're going to report facts, those facts should relate to real things that actually happened in the real world.
Right. And I can relate to this because if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see I literally have a video entitled, "I Beat Up an Old Man." And I give you the blow by blow. Here's how it went. And that was kind of what I was expecting. Like, this guy shot at me and a bullet pinged off my ear and then I took a hit. Like, he got a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
So he was wounded. I was expecting, how did you get wounded? Well, I took a shot to the leg or whatever. Like, tell me what happened. Instead, he talked to God.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. Just, if it didn't spoil anything, do we actually know how he earned his Purple Heart?
Well, the short answer is not really, but let's continue.
People look at me and they see how I talk, or they see my appearance, and they would not assume that I am a Christian person.
Right.
But I had a personal one-on-one talk with God that day. I accepted death. I stood up in that hail of gunfire, expecting to die, and I made it. And I feel, I got banged up pretty good.
Yeah.
But I feel that day there, and we celebrate that as my second birthday. We don't call it my alive day or anything else. Like, that day is my second birthday. The first birthday I was put on this earth, and the second birthday I figured out why.
I can't shake the feeling that he's skipping some significant details between I stood up and I made it through.
Yeah, we went from hail of gunfire to his second birthday. So, I mean, congratulations on that. I still don't know what the fuck happened in that fight or how much fire he took or what he did. But, happy birthday.
Yeah, I guess. Happy birthday. We'll never find out what happened between talked to God and made it through. Anyway, let's hear some more.
I learned that I was so close to death that you only have one trip on this planet. And to live fearlessly and not worry about what other people say, not worry about what other people do.
This is all really dull. We could get to the 10-minute mark.
And miss all this?
Take the risks. Ask out the good-looking girl.
Nice to hear just a little bit of casual misogyny thrown in there, just as an aside.
Plus, if you need a gun in your face and to face firefight to realize we get one trip around the earth, well, I'm glad you figured that out, but I didn't have to sign up for the military to get that.
Yeah, well, different strokes, I guess.
Yeah.
None of us are going to get off this planet alive, and the last thing that I want in life is regrets. So I've learned I don't care what people say. I don't care what they think. I know what I think.
Right.
So the lesson from Teddy's military experience is, I don't give a fuck about people anymore.
That tracks.
Yeah. I'm guessing that the scripted portion of this part for you was just open bracket, let Teddy ramble for a minute, close bracket.
Oh, yeah. Ask about the military, take down whatever he says, and then move on. And what we learned was he talked to God and realized you should take more risks because you only got one life. So ask out the girl and don't give a fuck about other people talking shit. Okay, again, lessons I learned without having to go through a firefight.
The script, open bracket, ask Teddy about military, take smoke break, come back and see if he's still rambling, end bracket.
Yes, and in the music world, we call that a cadenza.
Oh, all right, let's hear some more.
And I'm not going to live my life based on other people's agendas or opinions.
Very well said. That's very gripping, and most people go through their whole lives without an experience like that and no real awakening or realization where, this is what I have to do with the time I have left.
Gripping your cock.
Yeah. And again, I'd like to thank the Academy.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't know who's jacking it harder here, you or Teddy, but yeah.
The only difference is I don't have my cock in my hand.
Yeah, war porn is the worst porn.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to take risks in life to where everybody has their comfort zone, their safety zone.
Sure.
To where, okay, I'll go work in the corporation. I'll do the 9 to 5. I'm guaranteed a paycheck every 2 weeks. If I work hard, I might, work myself up the ladder and make even more money. I realized after that experience I could never work for anybody else ever again.
Because people join the military for free with no hope of promotion?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a pretty regular paycheck coming from the military, and with a Purple Heart, you've got a guaranteed pension, so I don't know.
Yeah, I can't recall the last time I heard someone say, I'm going to join the army for no money in return.
Although, you would be hard-pressed to find a more willing candidate than someone like Teddy Daniels, who I get to shoot people in the desert for free? Sign me up.
Yep.
I just can't do it. So I went out, started 2 businesses, took one public, sold both, and now I run my own show. And I could never just be a slave to society anymore. I think I'm at the point where I just kind of need to do my thing and live my life.
Yeah, I definitely relate. I'm in my 50s, and I've had a couple of heart attacks at an early age.
You lying piece of shit.
I'll get there. And I reached that same moment where I was like, all right, what am I doing? And who am I doing it for,
Exactly, brother.
Brother. Yep. That's right, brother.
Damn straight, brother.
And there's so many people that work in hospitals and work in nursing homes that when people are on their deathbed, they don't regret the things that they did in life. They regret the things that they didn't do.
Exactly.
Wow, that's some Deepak fucking Chopra levels of deep right there.
Okay, something just real quick. Something I learned talking to right-wing shitheads. Their depth of thought goes no deeper than a bumper sticker.
Well, I was just reflecting on the juxtaposition, if you will, between the concepts he's spouting about, freedom, and I'm going to work for myself. I can't work for anybody else. Man, you just came out of the fucking military. Right. Now, again, I don't have any military record. I've never been in the army or any other militarized service, but I'm pretty sure that higher-ups in those services are really keen on the people down below doing exactly what the fuck they're told when they're fucking told to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how a military operates.
Yeah, if you work for the military, you're kind of owned by them. So the whole idea of I want to be my own person, yeah, well, you sign up for the wrong fucking thing. But I'm glad that all it took was a firefight on the other side of the world in the middle of a desert on a mountain to get him to realize, oh my God, I could die. I should do something with my life.
Yeah. Some of us figured that out when we were way too stoned in university.
I never had to hold a gun to figure out the same shit. And I would wager that my depth of thought goes a little bit deeper than a bumper sticker.
Well, here's the thing, right? And this is the sort of thing I can't help reflecting on when I hear people talk about the military service, and particularly people who have seen active combat in the military. I totally understand that you go through that experience and you yourself have a new appreciation of the finite nature of existence.
Sure.
You have a new appreciation of your mortality. Great. Understood. There was somebody on the other end of those bullets that you were firing who, to put it nicely, will not get that same opportunity. Yeah. So I think that if you as a person need to either have killed another person or nearly been killed yourself in order to come to that appreciation of exactly how little time we have on this pale blue dot. That really does speak to something fundamentally broken inside your own psyche.
Yeah, to uncover that depth of thought and feeling and realization of where you are in the universe, if that only gets through your skull while you're being shot at, I don't know how to wrap my mind around that because, I came to the same conclusion when I was in my teenage years.
Yeah. Well, I guess some of us had better access to better drugs, maybe.
Could be.
Well, we're just past the 9-minute mark, so let's see how much more we can roll before I have to pause again to vent my frustration.
Yes, let's.
So go out, make a difference, and live the best life you can live, but live for a purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing.
It's great advice.
Fuck.
You made it about 5 seconds.
14 seconds. Look, the inherent privilege in that mindset needs to be talked about. You know, go out there, take a risk, live your dream. Great. You can do all of those things when you have the resources to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you can go and take a risk on a business. You can do that startup. You can do whatever risky enterprise you want to. There are those of us who do not have the resources to do that more than once in their lifetime.
Right.
You know, consider like, God, as much as I don't want to mention his name, but, you know, Elon Musk can't, in any practical sense, fail.
Right. But he got out there and he took a risk and he did what was worth doing because he found his purpose.
Right, but there is no conceivable way that he could fail in the sense that there will be no repercussions for him failing.
Yeah.
So let's take, for example, the Cybertruck. That's an absolute piece of shit, and within 5 years, they will have disappeared from the market because they're terrible, terrible cars, and the people who are sustaining the sales of Cybertrucks right now can't keep that sustained for the long term.
Yeah.
So give it 5 years and they'll disappear. No problem. What does that mean in practical sense to Elon Musk's overall wealth? It means nothing because his wealth is enormous.
Yeah.
So he can fail as many times as he likes, but it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
You know, my wealth is such a tiny fraction of his. If I go out and start a business tomorrow with a tiny, tiny fraction of his wealth and it fails, I am fucked. I am ruined. I will never be back on my feet again. To quote the hero of the COVID pandemic, I don't know how I can ever financially recover from this.
Good Tiger King reference. I can totally relate because I started my first business venture around 2008. And wouldn't you know it, the global economy crashed. So I went out and I took a risk and I got fucked. And then I went out and took another risk and restarted the company around 2019. And then COVID hit.
Oh, no.
So, great fucking
Your
timing on my part.
I was just about to say your timing is awesome.
So yeah, this is like being told, well, what you got to do is turn on God mode on Doom and just punch those demons in the fucking face. And the rest of us are going, how do you turn on God mode? I wasn't born with money.
Yeah. All right, let's keep rolling.
Yes. All right, I'm going to turn now to some gay issues, and I'm of the opinion that if George W. Bush had gotten his way when he nominated Harriet Miers, if she would have been on the Supreme Court, I assume that Roe would have been overturned before the Trump presidency, but the left did what they do, and instead we got John Roberts afterwards, who still delivered, though by now I'm thinking we should already be on overturning Obergefell. What are your thoughts?
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at this point in time in history, we had just gotten to the part where Roe v. Wade was getting overturned and it leaked through the Supreme Court. So all of that fallout had not yet happened. But already after the decision of Roe v. Wade, it was right-wingers were looking at Obergefell, which gives gays the right to marry. So that's why I decided to go with this particular line of questioning, because I'm like, how far do you want these dominoes to fall?
Right. Because that was, for those of you who haven't tortured yourself with reading the Casey decision, that was one thing that was explicitly mentioned by Clarence Thomas in his concurrence, was that other significant decisions such as Brown versus Board of Education and Obergefell, because of the logic used in the Casey decision that overturned Roe, those decisions were now on the table as being potentially overturned.
And I gotta say, when I heard you say, oh shit, when I mentioned Obergefell, I immediately felt like, oh yes, we both have a Supreme Court rage boner over this. And you recognize what I'm talking about. So game recognizes game on that.
Yeah. All right, well, let's hear his response. Well, I'm sure a bunch of that was you just vamping so that you could win our bet. I'm not keeping an eye on the clock for this one, by the way. I have got my eyes squinted almost shut, so let's roll tape.
What are your thoughts?
Well, quite honestly, that's not a situation that has personally impacted my life.
A surprisingly woke response from Teddy there.
Right? So this is what I was getting back at towards the beginning of the episode. Remember when he said, these are issues that affects the economy. All Americans were all under the boot of this woke, jackbooted thugs. And when I ask him, how does this affect your life? It does not.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you set him up with the softest of all possible lobs for the smash with about how gays are destroying the country. I don't know what's particular line of logic he's going to use to say that, but that's what I was genuinely expecting. But yeah, like I said, surprisingly woke response from Teddy. Although, before we go any further, I suppose I should say it is kind of on brand that it is also an entirely selfish response. It doesn't affect me, so I don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hear the rest.
So, when I push hard on issues, those are the issues that have personally influenced my life, the life of my family, the life of my friends, the life of those in my community. I'll be quite honest, I am more libertarian than I am anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if gay people want to get married, I don't believe it should be called a marriage. I believe it should be like any other type of business arrangement when two people go in and form a company together. And if one partner should split from that company, it should already be predetermined. Okay, these are the assets that I brought in, this and that, and everything else.
Right, legal protection.
I have a big issue with it being called marriage, because it's not marriage. It's not what the Bible defines as marriage.
And there it is.
Yep. It doesn't affect me, but fuck you for trying to do it.
God damn it. I seriously was giving Teddy some credit there. Because, look, as much as I think that libertarianism is a very, very stupid political philosophy for people who completely lack self-awareness and do not understand the social nature of human beings as animals, I do give libertarian props for the issues that they do accidentally land on the correct side of. For example, gay marriage, LGBTQ rights, drug legalization. That's great. But there we have it from Teddy, is the 2016 logic of, yeah, well, fine, if they want to get married, they can't call it a marriage.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me or bother me in any way, but you can't do that.
Yeah, if it has to be a penis and it has to be a vagina. Otherwise, you make the baby Jesus sad. All right. I think we're going to call it there for today. Obviously, this is going to be a two-parter, so stay tuned for that. Fascinating interview. And I've been keeping my eyes half shut so as not to look at the time, and we managed to get through 10 minutes and 43 seconds of that interview. Next time I'm in Costa Rica, the drinks are on you.
Wow, beat me by 43 seconds. The outrage apparently was not high enough. But okay, you made it through. You made it through half the interview for one episode. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Well, that'll have to do for today, folks. Though today's episode raises more questions than answers, I'm afraid. Questions such as, does Teddy Daniels have any redeeming qualities? Can Dr. Scorpion listen to more than 30 seconds of Teddy at a time without blowing his stack? Will the good doctor ever get through this entire interview? Find out in a future episode of Ready to Rumble. As always, thank you to our patrons, and if you enjoy our work and would like early and exclusive access to your favorite bard and the Ready to Rumble podcast with Doc Scorpion, come join the party at patreon.com/KorakTheBard. And for more religious and political satire, come see my Atheism 101 channel at youtube.com/@antitheistsuperstition. We'll see you next time. And until then, I'm your favorite bard, Korak the Bard.
And I'm Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
The instrumental outro you're listening to right now was composed and recorded by two live humans and not artificial intelligence.